Honestly, color me impressed. The Legendary Hero is Dead, with its 9th episode, might be one of the best examples of the plot meets the plot. And what I'm talking about, for those who may be a little too innocent to understand, is that basically any show that has quote-unquote plot is a show with a lot of eye candy that is unapologetically just trying to be horned up. This show is no stranger to that. Its comedy direction is literally based around a man who is so obsessed with thighs that he tries to put stockings on everyone and has no personal space, and probably is going to be the reason restraining orders potentially will be invented in this world. However, episode 9 does a really interesting thing because currently he's inhabiting his best friend's body as she's kind of zombified and is within a day going to basically completely lose her soul. So the idea of this devil basically going inside his memories and going from his childhood all the way to basically modern day Touka, you get to see a side of him that really paints him as a much more complex character than just the radish thigh-inducing man that he kind of started out as. And I think one of the most brilliant points in this episode is it's super subtle, but very quickly we see the real Yuna's spirit, and she's naked. Every time they go to a new time period or a new location, she always is naked and has to find new clothing. By the end of kind of like the flashback journey, we're not even focusing on her being naked anymore. Like, it's clearly there, and it's clearly supposed to be fan service, as otherwise why would you constantly strip her down? But the thing that's brilliant with Touka, being as horny as he is throughout a majority of the show, once we start getting into the memories of the day his mother died, or the day he was ready to basically kill himself, he was ready to lay down and die in the snow, the fact that he doesn't acknowledge her being naked, he'll just hand her clothing and basically just acknowledge, put it on, I'm not even looking, I'm not even paying attention. And I think for a character that is so obsessed with touching his best friend's thighs, the fact that we, over the course of this journey, show him not really care about that as much, but more so we get to see the more complex side of his character. The fact that despite Yuna apparently being able to see every move he's made while in her body, the thing that she brings up is what he said to the sister episode back about how, like, he'll do whatever it takes to save her. She gets to see the sides of him that she's proud of, but also she gets to see the sides of him that he never showed her because he was either too ashamed, too scared, or just didn't want to confront those memories. And I think the idea of blending basically every scene, this naked beauty in front of any character, but then you actually have this compelling story arc being told and really showing Touka as a better character than just this thigh-obsessed man. It's honestly kind of impressive what they're able to do, and I think this episode in particular is one of the best examples of kind of like that plot meets the plot, and honestly, I'm here for it. Now, if you do want to see my full live reaction to episode 9, I do have it available on my Patreon. If you do want to see my full uncut thoughts, you can head on over there and consider supporting. This was a great episode. I didn't know really what to expect because they end last week with something seemingly grabbing him, and you just naturally assume these devils, these demons is probably behind it. But then you see him in this world where he's like a child, and basically immediately the first time he puts a stocking on a woman, just completely okay with it. And for him, if he's not getting yelled at or scolded, it ain't fun for him. I like the idea of kind of like your memories not being able to do anything. You can't really manipulate someone's memories to know exactly how things should respond if he's never met the person. So random strangers on the street, if he's putting stockings on them in this dream world, well, ultimately, the natural go-to automated response is, that's nice, dear, basically. But any of his normal, like, associates, whether it's his parents or Yuna, these people that he knows naturally behave pretty similar to what they should, but as we also see things that he's not completely sure of, but kind of has a sort of connection with, they get merged into this hybrid body of male meets female, and it's kind of hilarious. But it's interesting, right? Because we know he didn't have a good childhood, but we really get to see it painted as a lot worse than I think many people might have expected. Just to see how his mother was treated and the fact that, the day his mother died. So basically this was 4 years prior in terms of timeline, what they said. 4 years ago, you're probably going to be able to remember that pretty vividly. Holding your mother dying in your arms, she hands you the letter, apologizes that she wasn't a good enough mother to you. The fact that it's painful because 4 years go by, you've moved on more than you were at a year ago, right? Or 3 years ago. And the fact that he now has that fresh again in his mind is going to take him 4 more years to fully not feel as much pain as he once did with his mother dying like that. And it's really interesting watching because I think most of us assumed when Yuna gets her body back, I mean, he's going to be in a full body cast because he's been doing things and he's been basically a bit of a pervert, putting it nicely. And the fact that the first real conversation we have, well, yes, she does scold him and has some angry looks. At the end of the day, most of this is actually showing her sides to him that really she didn't fully comprehend. And honestly, I thought it was really sweet seeing the two of them bond because I don't think anyone could argue there isn't natural chemistry between these two. It's without a doubt the ship that is probably going to get confirmed when the show or the series will eventually end, because this show ain't getting a full adaptation, I'm pretty sure. But let's just assume the source material eventually gets them in a relationship. It would feel natural given what we've seen so far, unless something changes it over time. And I like the fact that this episode's all about really showing them as two people who had a actual friendship, and despite it kind of like starting out in that very slapstick comedy way where she needs to beat him over the head because he's such a pervert, I like how there was a deeper connection there this whole time, and like their literal day of meeting is a day that he's just crying under a tree after seeing his mom get beaten. Like, obviously, yeah, you need someone there, and even if they do have fun with the comedy, like, oh, I can craft her so she'll let me in the future put stockings on her, they still know how to kind of blend that humor meets fan service meets character development all in one nice package. As I say, I mean, if you get 9 episodes into a show like this, obviously, if you're expecting it to be completely serious with no fan service, no humor, you're watching the wrong show. But anyone who's been enjoying, at the very least, what they've done will probably come out of an episode like this pleasantly surprised by how much Touka has evolved over the past handful of episodes into a more interesting character than just the goofball perverted mess that he started out as, which was a fun character to follow. But now he actually feels like a decent person to watch because, I mean, I really liked his entire motivation for going up against impossible odds. It's not because he wants to save the world or he feels like he's destined to. His entire motivation over these 24-hour period, I mean, that's literally how we have 14 hours to go, I think they said at the end of the episode. This entire arc since he's took over her body is over the course of one day. This is a lot to go through, and the fact that his entire reason for doing this is to save his best friend and potentially the girl he has a major crush on just past her thighs. No, the entire package, right? And I think that's what's turned the show into a very solid watch, and as I keep saying, criminally underappreciated. I mean, obviously, people don't like perverted humor, the show won't be for them, but it's kind of like watching High School DxD and getting mad that you're going to see some titties and ass in a show like that. You should just kind of assume you're going to get that. If that's not for you, move on. But don't necessarily criticize something for being something that it's trying to be and you just don't like that, right? It's just kind of weird to me, in my opinion. Like, when I don't like things, I just kind of move on. But then there's people who will go on Reddit week after week and watch the show, write paragraphs of why they hate it. I'm just like, bruh, life's too short for that mess. Just watch the shit you enjoy, man. Like, it's natural to dislike aspects of a show you enjoy and then kind of criticize, but I don't know, there's some hate watchers out there. That's a little weird to me, but I think this was a great episode. Definitely probably the best episode period of the show, and I'm excited to see how they're going to wrap up this season over the next few. But let me know what you thought down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and hey, subscribe if you're new around here. Be sure to ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more Legendary Hero is Dead on the channel. And as I mentioned, we do have a full live reaction to this episode available on my Patreon, and while you're there, you'll also get a video shout out. So today we have Nick, CTH, James Anderson, and Frosty. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.